Hello!
Hey guys!
And welcome to another Conan Exiles live stream right here from the Oslo Funcom offices. I'm Jens Erik, I'm your community manager. I'm joined from the design team by Vlad, who's this is your first time on stream, I think.
Yeah, this is my first time streaming ever.
It's your first time streaming ever. Hey,
Yeah.
I am happy to be able to pop your stream cherry, if that's okay to say.
Sure.
Yeah, we're off to a great start. Absolutely. And today is the day that everyone is super excited about. They are so super excited that they have crashed my chat software already, which is just amazing. We're going to talk about mounts today, which you have been working on for
Quite some
time. You came in earlier this year, I think.
In February, March.
Yes, so you've been here almost a full year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. For those of you who don't know, yeah, Vlad joined us earlier this year. Came in from Ubisoft,
Yep.
I think, where you worked on the Trials games,
And
at least one of them, and Far Cry. So you have a lot of experience from working on various types of games, which is really, really great for us. We are very happy to have you here, Vlad. So yeah, as you all know, as you're all here for, we're going to talk about mounts, and we're going to talk about how you get mounts, riding them. We're going to talk about mounted combat. We're also going to talk about some reworking that we're doing to some combat mechanics, which a lot of people are always excited to hear about. And we're going to talk about some reworks coming to Trebuchets, which I think I'm very excited to see how people are going to react to.
I guess
this.
it's going to come out of nowhere. Like Trebuchets, really? Yeah, they're going to become way better.
Yes, Trebuchets are going to be. They're gonna get some serious upgrades. And so yeah, that is it for this stream. Bye. No, I'm kidding. And so we're gonna try to show you as much as possible. Try to talk through all the changes as much as possible and give you our reasons for doing all the things that we're doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What's happened since the last time we streamed? That was 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've had 2 updates recently to try to take care of some hacking and other issues that we hopefully now have been fixed completely, because some of you may have had some giants running around on your servers, but should have been taken care of.
It was not a public event.
I mean, it depends on who you are. But yeah, that was not on us. It was not us doing the giants. It was other people, but we should have prevented them by now. All right. Let's just. I think we should just jump right into it, because
Let's do it.
It is what people have been very excited to see. Here we are in the game, as always. Now, I know everyone wants to see us jump on a horse and then just ride off into the sunset, and then that is it. But we're first we're going to talk about the combat stuff, then we're going to talk about the trebuchet, and then we're going to go into the horses.
Sure.
Yes.
We'll leave dessert for the end of the stream.
I mean, yeah, of course. We always leave the best for last. That's why you always have dessert last. It's always why you always have the meat last, etc.
Is that what you have in Norway?
Yeah. We don't. Dessert last, and then the meat. No, I'm kidding. All right. First off is what's happening with combat.
Well, if you press a dodge right now, you'll see something really, really interesting.
I am very excited to see how people react to this, because dodging is getting a bit of a rework. I'm actually going to grab a controller for this, because that will. So for those of you who may not see it, there's been some. You're still rolling.
You're still rolling. The distance for the roll is exactly the same for every single armor type. So light, medium, heavy, they're all going to be rolling exactly the same distance. But the speed at which you're going to be rolling is going to be different. So light armor is going to be the fastest, the heavy armor is going to be the slowest.
Now, I should mention that this character has... whoops, that's the wrong button.
That's the light armor.
Has the light armor on and has 0 agility, which is why things are still a bit slow.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Yeah. If you look at the description for the agility, you've probably seen that right now that it says ability to act after dodge.
Yep.
Which is true. So basically, when you do the dodging and you want to continue attacking, doing something else, you need to have high agility to actually be able to do so. So agility right now matters more than just armor. And if you want to have a comfortable combat, like from my personal experience, playtesting this combat is about 10 agility is the bare minimum I would go with.
Okay.
Having the heavy armor. But some people who are playtesting, they mention about 30 is their perfect number.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to grit at this point. You get as much as you need, or as much as you feel comfortable with.
Oh no, oh god, my armor isn't here. That's weird. All right, so we're gonna spawn in some medium stuff and some heavy stuff, just so people can see what this looks like in action. So let's see, that's medium, medium harness. Come on. Oh, wait, that's the heavy helmet. Damn it. So then this is the medium armor, which is even slower.
Yep.
But the length of the dodge roll is still the same.
Yep.
But as
so
you can,
the main reason why we're doing this change is because I have those questions like why are you trying to change all that stuff? Is because when it comes to PvP, it's really easy to disengage from any kind of danger when you're wearing the light armor. That's why light armor is a go-to for any PvP. So what we're trying to change here is to make sure that your character cannot quickly disengage and you have to commit to every single action you perform.
Yep.
And for certain weapons, that makes them more viable than they previously were. For example, the two-handed sword, it has a second attack which pushes you forward.
Yeah, there's like a lunge almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Previously, we would just sidestep it or dodge once and you're never going to be able to be hit with this attack. Now it's a lot harder. Now you have to pay attention to your opponent. And at first, when we playtested this, we get a lot of feedback internally from people who were playing the PvP continuously, saying that this is really, really strange. Like, we're not used to it. But after a week, people get used to it. They really like it because now you actually have to pay attention to everything you do. So yeah, the iframes are still there, so you will be able to be protected when you are performing the dodge.
Yeah. And so obviously the main question from a lot of people is what happens then if I put a lot of points into agility, which I am now going to do.
Yeah, but you need to have a weapon to attack.
Sure. I'm going to quickly grab a weapon from this chest. And then I need to put it there. Oh yeah, so I can, because like, that's where it, right.
Yeah. Makes it feel a lot faster. You can act almost immediately after you perform a dodge.
Absolutely. And then I think if let's see if I do this. Things feel a lot different. So this, as you can probably tell now, is a lot faster even than it was previously because I have now put a bunch of points into agility, which now allows me to dodge a little bit faster than I previously did. But this would also make agility more of a, I guess,
more useful stat.
Yeah, than it was before.
Because most people didn't really care about armor too much, and they were spending their points in strength or vitality, or even grit.
And like instead of waiting until I'm up here to attack, I can start attacking from down here, for example, and then do a swing.
Yeah, very much.
Like that. And yes, I did take off no stamina loss because my character is at 0 stamina right now. But that's for you guys to play around with and figure out what your best build is. But
yeah, but one thing for sure is that the heavy armor is going to be way more useful in PvP.
Right.
Like, I used to play only with light armor exclusively, as most of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm switching to medium, and sometimes I use heavy, depending on the weapon I'm using.
Right.
So if you're using daggers, light armor is the best option for you. If you're using two-handed hammers, the heavy armor, all the way.
So this means that every single armor is going to roll going forward. There's no like side hopping that there is any that it used to be. It's all this roll, but then it takes a certain amount of frames to get out of it before you can start attacking again.
It also makes the PvE a little bit more complex because, like, as you can imagine, you cannot just dodge from the opponent's attack pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you have to pay a bit more attention against certain bosses. The latest boss that we released, the what's it called, the Smoke Demon, in the dungeon, he's going to be way harder to dodge, way harder to go with his mechanics. But that's the end game content, so we pretty much expect that.
Sure, absolutely. People also wanted to see how it looks like when I roll forward. This is what it looks like when I roll forward. Backwards, sideways, sideways, forward, forward. Yeah, that is dodge rolling, which I am very excited to see how people make this work in the future going forward. All right, let's put my other stuff back on like this.
But there's more.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, another thing that you might have noticed or not is the fact that your character doesn't instantly start walking at maximum speed in a specific direction.
I was actually about to mention that.
Because we added acceleration. So this is to prevent people from just, again, being able to dodge in any direction with maximum impulse speed.
Right.
This is to make you a bit more kind of... it makes the combat a bit more riskier because you have to commit to every single action you do. And this is something that we play tested internally. We had some people are complaining that this is strange, but they get used to it. So we're confident that this is going to be a great addition to the PvP combat in general, and over the time, it's going to be a new norm.
So we actually had this. I think we've had this for at least the last stream and maybe also the one before that in like a build, but I don't think a lot of people noticed it. But I did for a while realize that there's a slight like that going forward. Like you start off slow and then you start moving. Especially if you start off sprinting immediately, there's a slight wind up before you start running.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how we'll get some feedback on that, I'm sure, once we roll this out. The idea is for all of this stuff to go out at the same time, so this will come out as alongside the mounts, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there's more to mounts than just mount and combat. There's also the Trebuchet rework. There's the dodge stuff. There's also some weapons changes that's difficult to demo right here because then we'd have to switch between different builds. But if you have like a quick summary, maybe, of some of the things that we're doing.
Since we changed the dodge and we changed the movement system, we had to address some of the issues with weapons. So the weapons were changed in a way that, for example, the two-handed hammers, they were just ridiculously powerful in this meta.
Yes.
So the light attack was slowed down a bit, just to make sure that they're a bit more balanced. I know that there were some changes to katana. Don't remember exactly which ones, but I was killed by katana so many times. It's painful memories. There were some changes to two-handed swords, which used to be my favorite weapon. And it's back to be my favorite weapon because it's actually pretty interesting with the light attack.
Right.
It has a lot more hyper armor, so it's easier to engage an opponent. You're not being staggered immediately. Two-handed axes got speed up. They're a bit more viable now. One-handed maces are actually pretty good. They had extra hyper armor on the light attack, so you can engage the opponent without being staggered again. So those are micro changes to pretty much most of the weapon in the game.
Cool. That sounds really, really cool. And I think that's it for combat stuff.
The Trebuchet.
Apart from the Trebuchet. So, Trebuchet. Alex was in the community team office earlier, sort of rubbing his hands, being very excited to hear what people had to say about the Trebuchet. So, I have a Trebuchet prepared up here. Now, I should mention there are some texture issues on this Trebuchet. Just wanted to point that out in case people, start making a fuss in chat. Yep. Because this is a build in progress, but we wanted to show off this stuff early. Anyway, because we're very excited about it. So, take it away.
Yeah, so basically with the Trebuchet, first of all, we increase the range at which you can fire the Trebuchets.
Right.
So trying to, block the base by foundation spamming around is not going to work as effectively.
Right.
You can try to do more foundation spamming, but then, you just can't prevent that. Another thing that you probably can see on your screen right now is the extra GUI.
I have to say, that's pretty decent range. Holy hell! Is. I actually hadn't tested this out before. Like, this is at 100%. That's a pretty good lob. Like, if there's anything in that area, like, it's getting hit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we also can set the specific angle at which we want to hit. And you can actually see this angle visually, so you'll be able to figure out which works and which doesn't.
Yes. There is a new lever that you can now pull on the Trebuchet where it says firing angle. And it goes from... I think it goes all the way up to...
I think 90 or so.
Yeah, 80 and also minus 25. So at minus 25, 100%. Come on, fire. It goes about there. And then the stone bounces away. And then you saw how far it went when it was on 45. But let's see how long it'll go when we crank it up to 80. Because that's... I mean, that might just be a straight shot up in the air. But because like 45 is the ideal angle, I think.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. But then depending on where you build, depending on how you want to use it for attack or defense, etc., then you can change the angle and then
sure. And depending on what you're trying to hit, because that's really important. We were trying to play test this with building huge castles from different distances and hitting specific targets. And it was
yeah.
much easier to hit what I wanted to hit instead of just creating a huge amount of damage.
Right.
There's also a small change to how damage is being applied with the boulders. They don't bounce as much as they used to, so you're not going to do as collateral damage as they used to be able to. And another thing which is really important, the gut bubbles.
Yes.
These boulders can go through gut bubbles now.
And I think that's not the only thing that's going to be able to go through god bubbles.
Arrows, I also believe orbs will be able to do so.
Yep.
So the game will not devolve to you just coming online once a week, refreshing the gut bubble, and going away. You actually have to stay. You have to play the game if you want to keep your base safe.
And as Pointless Pointing points out, Jesus, that's weird sentence, in Uplay and YouTube chat, that pillar bases are basically, hopefully, a non-issue at this point. Because
Well, if you're going to build a lot of trebuchets, then yeah, sure.
yeah. But then, of course, the question remains, like, why would you then farm a god bubble?
Against the gods when we release them.
Yes. I think I also shot that. Yeah, I shot that out of render range. But yeah, so the idea is then for trebuchets to become much more viable in PvP, in raiding, to be used against, pillar bases, essentially, because there's really no reason for someone to build just like a tower and then they just sit there.
That's what most people do on the PvP servers.
Yeah.
It's just, the problem is, it's not that I can't raid them, is that I don't really want to, because it takes so much time and so much effort that most people just don't do it.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot easier to do, and foundation spamming will not save you as much as it used to.
All right.
Now to
That's
good,
it. That's what?
Yeah, now to the good stuff.
Now to the good stuff. That's it for trebuchets. I'm very excited to see how people react to this when they actually, try it out in person. As you could see, I could fire a projectile at 45 angles pretty far, and I would like to just demonstrate that again, because that rock goes places. Like, it almost feels like I can hit someone across the map with this thing, and it goes almost outside of render range at some point. So, hopefully this will make trebuchets much more viable, much more usable, rather than just something you sort of build for decorations and then it just sits there. I actually walked into the designer office the other day, and you were having like a literal, it was like a snowball fight, but with trebuchets.
Yeah.
Where everyone was sort of running around, like building up walls and knocking them down and like adjusting firing angles and all that kind of stuff.
I was just trying to hit the Robert, because he was like dodging left and right, like, I got you now.
That was really good. I probably hit Noon in the Cannibal. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is really awesome. All right, let's talk about mounts. You might have all noticed the beautiful horses that we have down here in this little pen and enclosure area. So mounts will work pretty much the same as, well, like acquiring a mount will work pretty much the same as acquiring any sort of thrall or pet. Like you have to, pet basically.
Yeah, you don't have baby.
No, there's no baby thralls. That would have been something though. Like
Maybe they're foreign.
maybe, who knows? Basically the same as finding any other kind of pet. You will need to find a baby horse, a foal. You pick it up, stuff it in your inventory. I'm not sure how, but magic, I guess.
Yeah, you have a magic pocket.
And then you, once you have this foal, you bring it over to your stables, where you put it there, you feed it, and then after quite a while, because I think it's plant fiber, right, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it will eventually become a grown horse. So stables are basically the same as animal pens, but the stables are for horses, and animal pens are for all the other animals that you can have.
The main reason for stables to exist is because we knew how big the animal pen is.
Yeah.
And we cannot possibly ask every single player to build the animal pen to acquire a horse. It needs to be way easier. Our direction was that you'll be able to build a stable and get a horse at level 20 and start playing from there. So the baby horses were located in the I don't want to use the deaf names for different areas, but in the starting area above the river, you'll be able to find some.
So here-ish. Right.
And there's going to be some in Highlands, and I'm not going to mention other places you're gonna have to find them yourself.
I think this is probably going to end up on the wiki within the first day
like
of mounts
immediately.
being available. Just boom, where can I find a horse in Conan Exiles? Here's a list.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. But yeah, that is the simplest way of doing it. You find a foal, you put in your pet pen, etc. Now, this one is called the Swift foal. There are also sturdy foals, I think, and just regular foals as well, right?
Right now, it doesn't play too much of a difference. There is a small percentage chance that you're gonna get a different color horse based on the pony that you put into the stable, but it's not gonna make any difference. Every single horse is the same.
Right.
It's the same pet leveling system that we described in the previous stream still applies to horses, so they will have different parameters. But ultimately speaking, it doesn't matter which foal you're gonna put into the stable. It's still gonna produce you a horse.
Right. And then it chooses
Random color.
attributes and color all at random. And of course, the leveling system that we demoed 2 weeks ago also applies to your mounts, your horses, with strength, agility, vitality, accuracy, and survival growth rate. And then as they level up, they will get stronger in certain attributes. And then, so find a lot of horses to try to, find the correct one for you, I guess.
Yeah. But there is more to this leveling system than just what the other pets have.
Right.
Because strength and accuracy for the horses, they have extra attributes that they provide, extra bonuses. For example, the strength will increase the amount of damage that you apply when you try to hit somebody when on full speed, when you're galloping. And accuracy will make your shots from the bow more accurate.
Because I was actually going to ask about that. Like, why would a horse need an accuracy stat?
Well, of course it doesn't. It's more stable.
Right, sure. I'm going to have this horse follow me, and then I'm going to set its level. What was it? Follower? No. Level. There we go. Level. Set its level to 20. It's going to stand guard right here. And let's check out its stats.
That's a pretty good horse.
It's a pretty good horse, like +6 vitality, +3 agility. It's got some pretty decent strength, some decent agility, decent vitality, decent survival as well. And it's also, much like all the other, much like pets and thralls, it also gains certain perks as it levels up. This is a pretty good one, actually, Universal Warrior, which gives me +3 in everything. So,
Yep.
yeah. And this is all also based on what type of animal it is, as far as I'm, if I remember correctly.
Every single animal has different set of perks.
Yep.
Or different selection set of perks.
Yes. And as some of you have been asking already, when we roll this out, the only types of mounts that will be available are horses. That is all that we have planned to roll out for the time being. What happens in the future, we will see. But for now, it's horses only. And I know that a lot of people want, they want to ride rhinos, they want to ride elephants, they want to ride mammoths, they want to maybe ride the giant spiders. I don't know if that's your thing.
Personally, I want to ride a huge frost giant.
That would be cool. That would be super cool. But for the time being, it is horses only, and then what the future holds, we will see. But yeah, that is it, essentially.
Yeah, but the good news for the modders, it's really easy to set up new mounts. The biggest issue they're going to be facing is the number of animations that you will need. So if you can acquire the animations, you're good.
All right, cool. Okay, next up. Yes, so, but I can't just hop on my horse just like that.
You're going to break your spine.
It's gonna be bad for me and probably bad for my horse as well. What I need is a saddle. So
Exactly.
at level 20 is when I can unlock the Novice Saddle Maker feat, which requires me the armor feat because it's
technically an
it's
armor.
technically horse armor. Yes, it is technically horse armor, which then gives me the Saddler's Work Table, a light saddle, and then as I level up, I can unlock other types of saddles as well. So there's light, medium, heavy, much like with regular armors. We also have a Aquilonian Scout saddle, which I'm going to show later, and a Savage Cavalry saddle, which I'm also going to show later, which is really cool looking.
Yeah, and those aren't just visual changes. Every single saddle, they provide different stats, bonuses to horses.
Right.
So for example, these 3 saddles that you can see right now, they are technically the same war saddle that is meant for PvE combat mostly. But this is like a progression saddle. So if you take a look closely to the models themselves, you can see that the previous version of the saddle is being upgraded with every new tier,
Right.
sort of.
Yeah,
So it's
and-
not like the light, medium, heavy armor in sense of what they provide to you.
Mhm.
It's like this is the level 20 version, this is level 40, and last one's level 60 that you're going to be using at the end game.
Let's see what the level 60 saddle looks like. I also need to reboot this chat software because it keeps crashing and freezing. So basically, this is a visual representation of like how far along you are in your
Pretty much.
In your mount's progression. That's the word I'm looking for. So you start off, very simple. It's a saddle. It gets a bit beefier, and then at the end, like it looks like horse armor.
Yeah.
Or armor for a horse. And then I'm also gonna whip out these two, which I think are really, really cool looking. I don't think you can dye saddles. You might not. You might know that better than I do.
Not right now.
Right.
We might be able to add this in the future, and I know a lot of people would actually want this, but not at the moment.
Right. Yeah, this is the Aquilonian Scout saddle, which looks very Aquilonian, very Roman, very regal, all that kind of stuff. And then there's also
Very scoutish.
Very scoutish, yeah. And then, whoops, that's the wrong button. And then I was going to access the inventory. There we go, open inventory. And then there's the Savage Cavalry saddle, which is more Pictish. There's a lot of animal bone, a lot of skins and hides, etc. It's a bit more like an intimidation saddle, essentially.
And good that you mentioned about intimidation, because I think this is the best saddle for PvP.
Okay. It gives decent stats, all that kind of stuff to your horse.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because since there are 3 different types of saddles, there is no dedicated purpose for every single saddle.
Right.
But as a designer, I've always been thinking about the Warhorse saddle, the one that we have on the left,
Right.
is the one for PvE.
Right.
The reason for that is because it makes the horse really slow, but at the same time you can take a lot more punishment. So it's a lot more forgiving for players in general. And also because it doesn't have enough maneuverability, it's really difficult to catch players when they're trying to roll away. So that's why you need something really fast, really maneuverable, and if you can handle it without if you can try to avoid damage as much as possible, if you're really good in PvP,
Yeah.
this is the saddle that you want, because it allows you to give enough maneuverability, it provides you with enough speed to catch up to any opponent.
Yep.
And it's just decently really good looking.
Yeah.
for
So
saddle.
yeah, and it's like they look good and they provide a function. They
Yes.
do certain modifications to your horse in terms of running speed, in terms of maneuverability, in terms of armor, of course.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff.
And yeah, the scout horse, basically it's a traveling companion. It
Yes.
can run for very, very long time. So the main difference between the cavalry horse and the scout horse is, think about the runners. We have the marathon runner and we have the sprinter. So this is a sprinter, and the Colonian one is a marathon runner.
Right. This will go a long way over a long terrain, and the
Yep.
other one will
Pretty much.
give me like a burst of speed. All right. Let's get on this thing. So, horses are significantly faster than running on foot, just
Yeah.
from a general perspective, right?
Their maximum speed is about 50% higher. So the top sprinting speed of a player is 855, and horses are about 1300.
Right. That's a pretty decent jump, and that's only from just this regular like trotting animation.
No, that's from galloping.
Oh, that's from galloping, right? Because horses have, much like your human characters have, they have 2 speeds, which is the regular. Is it a trot or a canter? I'm not sure about my like horse terminology. And then you have your
Sure, that's
gallop,
canter.
which is your holding down your shift button and then just running essentially.
Yeah, and controls are really similar to what you have on the characters. So you hold shift to gallop. When you release the shift, it stops galloping.
Crashed into a rock there.
Same thing on the control. You just have to press the left
Yes.
joystick.
And as you can see, it is using stamina while I'm galloping. This is a fully leveled horse, so it has a lot more stamina than a level 0 horse would have. But they're pretty...
No, actually, stamina is the same for every single horse.
Oh, my bad.
And it doesn't change with the saddle that you apply. What changes is how much stamina is being consumed when you're trying to sprint.
Oh, okay.
Same thing when you're trying to take damage, because as you can see, the stamina doesn't look like the stamina from the player.
Right.
What it's actually called is endurance. And the difference between the stamina and endurance is when you take damage, you as a player or the horse, it will deduct your endurance. And if you reach 0 endurance and you've been hit, you get dismounted from the horse.
Oh, so if I'm sprinting and the horse runs out of stamina,
And something
it,
hits
it
you?
will buck me essentially.
No, it will continue going. It will
Right.
just revert back to the running speed. But if the arrow flies into your head, you get dismounted.
Oh wow, that's cool. So I can shoot a person off a horse
Yes.
if I'm very lucky.
If you're very lucky, if you can do it, then go ahead.
All right, that's really cool. So people are also asking if the horses can jump or swim. They can, absolutely, which is really cool. And if I want to, I can just hit the jump button and I'll have my horse do a rearing animation, which I think that's really cool. I just really enjoy doing this over and over again.
For selfies.
Yes, absolutely. And just like, I can't activate the vanity cap. That's sad. But that, I think just, this looks really great. I'm going to turn off this. Just, it's so good. So yeah, but just like running, I'm going to turn off no sprint cost. Just like running from here to here will consume about half my stamina. And of course the horse is going to follow me. Then if I get on the horse,
Yeah, when you're not sitting on your horse, it's a regular pet.
yes, it will follow you. But then also as it follows you and as you gallop, all that kind of stuff, it should level up pretty at a like nicely decent clip, I think.
Yeah, that's actually a big difference between the regular pets and the horses specifically. When you have a pet on follow and you kill something, the pet will get equivalent amount of XP from
Right.
it. So you level up essentially a pet as you level up yourself. With horses, in addition to when you kill something when you're on the horse, it will get experience. It will also get experience if you ride it. So horse is one of the fastest leveling creatures that you can possibly get.
Ah, cool.
The average speed to getting to level 20, which is the maximum level for the horses, is about 4 to 6 hours, depending on how you play and who you kill.
That's really cool. And for those of you who also were wondering in chat, like, yes, you can rename your horses. Absolutely. And I also found out that horses actually also have a walk animation, which looks like this.
For RP purposes. I mean,
For,
you have to
for
have
RP
it.
purposes, you have to have it. So there's actually 3 speeds to both your horse and your character. There's the walk, which you activate with the backspace key. There's this canter right here, and then there's the full gallop right here, which still I think looks really, really cool. And then if I want to, I can just hit the space bar. My horse will do
You
a
can
jump.
And you can swim.
I can also swim. But I think we're pretty far away from... Oh yeah, also you can also drift with your horse, by the way. That's another thing you can do.
It's actually so funny because the reason why we added drifting is to allow more maneuverability on horses. But when people start testing it, like, I can drift, this is the best feature in the game.
like this.
Yeah, I don't care about anything else. I just want to drift.
The horse drifting is so badass in my opinion because it allows you to take some really just amazing cornering.
Yeah, and if you can master it, you can just do 360 spin.
I mean, probably. And then if you just equip a bow, you can just like spin around a person,
Yep.
just shoot them over and over and over and over and over again. I think that's rad. I'm going to do this again because it's really cool. And I'm going to refresh the chat because chat keeps... We need to figure out a better software for this stuff.
That was a really good question that I've seen in the chat about the encumbrance.
Yes.
So the horse will inherit encumbrance from your character, which means if your character is over encumbered and you jump on a horse, it will not be able to run or sprint.
Yep.
But the stuff that you put in the horse's inventory doesn't count to that limit, which means you can stack it with rocks and be lightweighted and just go and running with your horse.
Yeah, so as long as like I can fill this up with as much stuff as I want to, the horse will still run at about the same speed.
Yep.
But if I myself am over encumbered, then it will go slowly.
Pretty much.
Yeah, just to asking the stupid questions.
Because we still want to preserve the idea for the people to use their horse as not really as a pack mule, but as a way to get your resources and get back to the base.
Yeah, because it's this allows you to cross the map much faster and with more stuff because it's a good idea to have, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some mounted combat, shall we?
Sure.
Yes.
So as a a mounter, as a rider, you'll be able to use different types of weapons while mounted. You will not be able to use every single weapon that we have in the game for quite obvious reasons. First of all, daggers are completely useless on horses, so
Yes.
don't try to use them.
That would be like you would have to get very close if you're gonna stab someone from a horse.
You have to throw them.
That would be kind of cool though, if I'm being honest.
So the three main one-handed weapons, which is axe, sword, and mace, are usable. Then we have spears, and finally lances and bows.
Oh, I forgot my bow. Why don't I have my bow? Let's see. Bessie's bow, which is the coolest bow in the game, in my opinion. And then, where's my, what am I trying to find?
You're trying to fire explosive arrows.
I'm trying to find, in honor of our good friend. There we go. There we go. That's what I was trying to find. Shout out to Firespark. All right. Mounted combat. So, yeah, as you said, swords, axes, maces, and pikes, all usable from horseback.
Yep.
Two-handed swords, no. No hammers, no daggers. So most two-handed weapons, apart from pikes, are not usable on...
Pretty much.
Yeah. Because if you want to know the reason why, just have a look as you're sitting on the horse, because you need to be able to grip the horse with something.
Yeah, just look at their sizes of those weapons. You cannot physically use them while mounted.
I mean, you can probably just do like one swing with the two-handed sword, and then you have to lose it.
Yeah,
I'm joking. I'm joking. All right, so you swing your weapon as you would any other weapon, and depending on where you... I think it's where you point your camera? No.
Yeah, there is a bug right now
with
these weapons, but we just fixed it, so that's going to be fine. So there are two types of the attacks you can use. With your light attack is your like a huge swing that you're going to be using to hit and run, essentially, is this one. It has a huge hitbox, so when you're trying to gallop at something, you can hold this attack to prep it, which is really important because a lot of people are going to have some problems at the very beginning to hit stuff. So prep your attack and then release it to hit.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Boom. Nice.
And then you can also point in a specific location where you want to hit.
Oh, so I can sort of point up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because like this is more of a... Sorry about the horse butt. This is like an overhand, like an overhead, and this is more downwards.
Yeah. And then there is a heavy attack. Heavy attack is essentially when you get really close, you'll be able to hit your opponent with much stronger attack, and that's going to attack much faster.
Yeah.
So if you get stopped for some reason, you really want to focus on a specific target, this is the attack to use.
And I know it looks like I'm hitting my horse right now. I'm not. The puff of smoke you see is actually from... It's actually technically hitting the ground, I think.
It is.
Because that's the particle effect you get when you hit the ground. And here you can see when I point towards the left side of my horse, I do a swing on the left side. If I point it this way, I do a swing on the right side.
Yep. And there's also, you can do some of the swing on the back, as much as your character can physically do.
Oh, that is really cool. I actually didn't know about that. And if you're paying attention, you can also see that I'm my sword is flashing purple, which I think is Sundering.
No, that's shield break.
Shield break. Thank you.
That means you can attack shields and you will not be interrupted.
Cool.
These weapons will preserve their identity in a way that swords will apply cripple, axes will apply bleed, and maces will apply sunder, but only with light attack.
Right.
So I really like using swords on the horses because when you try to hit and run somebody, you'll hit them with the light attack. They will apply cripple, and it will make your opponents really difficult to run away because they'll be crippled.
Yeah, and then you can just do a horse drift, well, more professionally than I just did, and then go back and then hit him again.
Yep.
And then hit him again, and then hit him again, and then hit him again.
And when you're trying to fight somebody else who's on horseback, then you can use the heavy attack because the light attack is really easy to hit with, but it doesn't provide as much damage. The heavy attack has really small hitbox, but you have to aim. You have to be very precise.
It's a much more directed attack. Like you have to be, I guess you have to be more prepared to hit
exactly.
someone with it.
You have to have some sort of level of skill.
Yeah.
But speaking of skill,
okay,
we just have to showcase the lances.
Oh yeah, of course. But I just wanted to really just show that, yeah, you swing the axe, you swing the mace.
Yep. There's the same animation for every single one of them.
I thought the spear was a stab.
There is a stab.
Is it? There's the stab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spear is a swing, and it's a stab, like that.
So spear has a lot more reach. It's a bit slower. It provides more damage. It's a bit easier in PvP to use because you can poke at opponent who's trying to roll away.
Mm-hmm. Like here, for example?
Yeah, but it doesn't have the same angle at which you can point. So with the sword, you can just go back and hit something almost behind you. With the spear, you can't.
So I can't have someone just like... I can't hit someone who's directly behind me with a spear, for example. Right.
There's a limit to it.
All right. Lances. They are brand new.
They're brand new. This is a new type of weapon. You cannot use lances while you're not on the horse. You can equip them. You can walk around with them.
Yes.
It's pretty funny.
It's like you equip them like this, and then you can do pretty much nothing. Because they might be a bit heavy to swing around on foot.
Well, they're not meant to be swing. And this is I think the only weapon that we have in the game which you do not technically attack with. You don't swing with it. You just prep it, and you point in a specific direction, and everything it hits will take damage.
It even glows to show you that it's a powerful weapon.
It's mostly for the person you're about to attack, to kind of showcase them that if you get hit with this, you're going to take a lot of damage.
Yeah. And as you can see, I have a fairly... Like, my range here is fairly limited in terms of just moving back and forth like this. But it's a pretty powerful weapon when you hit someone with it.
Yeah. So the thing about the lances, as I spoke about being knocked out from the horse, usually the weapons will deal equivalent amount of endurance damage as they do health damage.
Right.
The amount of damage that's being absorbed is based on your saddle of your horse. With the lances, they will deal a damage which is proportional to relative velocity between two targets. So,
right.
Without going into too much
I was going to say, could you put that in, like, community manager speak?
Okay, so if you hit a stationary target on full gallop, it's going to apply X amount of damage.
Sure.
If you hit something that's also running towards you, it's going to apply X multiplied by 2 damage.
Of course, right. So the faster two things are moving towards each other, the more boom it's going to give you once you hit it.
Exactly.
Right.
And if you just stand there and point it at something, it's not going to deal any damage, obviously, because it's...
It's just sitting there. I mean, it's probably going to hurt a little bit when I poke you with a lance, but I think it's going to hurt more when I just, like, charge into you. I like the... Yeah, it has a really cool wind-up animation. I like the way they hold it. It's really cool.
The reason for this hold is because we really want to make the combat with lances really interesting. So it's supposed to be difficult to aim, and the person who manages to hit first is going to have a high chance of dismounting the opponent.
Right.
If you want to survive the direct hit with a lance, you have to use the warhorse saddle, and you have to breed your horse to have really high agility stat, because agility is armor, and armor allows you to take less damage, which means you'll be able to survive.
Right. And I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. Sorry. People are asking about shields. Unfortunately, you can have a shield while you're on horseback because you need your left arm to hold onto the horse. But maybe it's something we can consider in the future.
I think we have this thing in this build. Try to spawn torch.
Okay. I'm not sure if this has been approved though, but wait, why did I type in gear? Torch. Oh yeah, I can ride with that. That's pretty good.
And you can use your one-handed weapon.
Oh yeah, there we go. Ah, nice.
The reason why we didn't want to include the shield is because it makes the combat a little bit more complicated.
Sure.
We will probably include it in the future, but just for this time we didn't have enough time to make them work.
Yeah.
And it also makes the animations a bit more complex.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do things in like smaller increments. And for the time being, I think the focus has been on getting horses ready, getting a system in place for, feeding them, growing them, etc., and then just like some decent combat that's not too complicated to engage in.
Because the horse combat is so much different from what we had previously. We really want to hear your guys' opinion about it, get you to play around, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then make system more and more complex based on that feedback.
Yeah. Without
just rolling in a huge system which we cannot change because it's too difficult. So baby steps.
Sure. So if you're let's say you're engaged in mounted combat, you can obviously attack the person on the horse. You can also just attack the horse and kill the horse and have the person fall off.
You can. It's going to be difficult because horses have a lot of health,
right?
As pretty much any other pet, especially level 20. So this is kind of the reason why we added the endurance mechanic, because we don't want you to kill a horse. That's not very humane.
Maybe if it's limping, I don't know.
No. Don't.
Anyway. All right.
But yeah, it's also easier because when you look at the real combat, and the reason why the cavalry were so prominent in the medieval times is because they mostly used the hit and run tactics.
Right.
If somebody on the horse just stood still and let the pikemen approach them, they would die.
Sure.
And this is exactly what's going to happen to you if you're not being careful when you're trying to use the horse.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, for example, 3 Nordheimers just approaching with you, to you with, let's say all of them are berserkers, you're dead.
Right.
You cannot stand still. You have to move around. Another interesting thing that you need to kind of keep in mind is that the saddle protects your horse, does not protect you as a rider.
Exactly, yeah.
Which means if you can come really close and you can attack both the rider and the horse at the same time, it's going to deal the maximum amount of damage, and you will dismount the rider really quickly, which makes bows really effective. So when you're trying to shoot somebody who's on a horseback, always aim for the rider for the maximum amount of damage.
Don't necessarily aim for the horse.
Yeah, just don't kill horses.
Now, what a lot of people might notice as I'm firing arrows is that I'm limited to 180 degrees of firing, and that's, I mean, from a realistic standpoint, I know at least if you're holding the bow in your left hand and you're firing with the right hand, it's very difficult at one point to sort of just keep moving.
You have to switch hands.
Yeah, you have to switch hands, and if you're like me, right hand dominant, it's pretty difficult to switch bow hands. So we're basically limiting you to firing from the left side of your horse for the time being, at least. I can't say for sure if that's something we're going to change, but
we'll see if we need to change that, because when we look at the other games that use the bows in combat, for example, the Mountain Blade, I also believe they have only limited to the left-hand side. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, they allow you to shoot from any side, but if you look at what the rider is actually doing in that case, the riders usually start spinning around in a saddle,
right,
which is really expensive to implement. So unless it's really necessary, we don't really want to put too many resources into that, because we need to change our animation system in the way that this thing is working. So not right now, but we'll look into it if we have to.
But bows will still be pretty powerful when you're using them from horseback, because you can do basically like a lot of like drive-by hit and run tactics where you run past someone, pepper them with as many arrows as you can, maybe as you're like circling around them.
It's going to be difficult. You have to be really good with the bow in order to be able to aim properly, and you also have to have really high accuracy on the horse, so you have to breed it to be able to use a bow on it.
Right.
But when you do, then you can become insanely powerful.
Right.
And that doesn't mean you have to use these specific arrows. You can use explosive arrows, you can use acid arrows, so area of the effect arrows are going to be really powerful regardless of how good you are.
Right. And I can absolutely ride and shoot at the same time.
Yep.
As long as I...
But this is the light attack. You can also aim.
I can also aim
with the power shot.
Like this, with the power shot. And hopefully hit the thing that I'm aiming at. But like you said, it is difficult, especially because we've talked about this before, like the two... The flat things, the lines, that's what they're called. The 2 lines at the side of your crosshair basically determines if you're like how accurate you are. So like when they disappear like that, like your shots might go off wildly, which they might do when you're on a horse.
This is when you and your horse need to have a really high accuracy stat to prevent this from happening. When you're maxed out, you can just basically ignore this deviation. It's going to be directly in your reticle.
Right.
Also, speaking of bows, we changed some stuff with the bows.
Okay.
Because aiming with the bow was really difficult, even on foot. So if you can dismount and showcase how it's going to look like right now.
Sure.
When you aim, the arrows will actually fly exactly where your reticle is.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Previously, there used to be an offset, which was really, really annoying.
Yeah.
So we removed that. So if you used to be really bad with the bow, now you're going to be good all of a sudden.
I'm hitting everything that I'm aiming at right now.
Because you're stationary.
That's
if you
true,
try moving around, then you're going to have a problem with aiming. And that's why you need your accuracy stat to be able to shoot properly, even when you're not on a horse.
And then my horse is going to follow me because I'm too far away from him. Poor horse. All right. I think that's all we have in terms of mounted combat for the time being, at least.
Sure.
And I see a lot of people asking in chat if you can knock out a thrall and drag them with your horse. As far as I know, that's a no.
No.
No. You also can't have thralls riding your horses. That's for player characters only. But we're not necessarily ruling anything out in the future. We're not necessarily not ruling anything out, I guess. It depends on the type of feedback we get, the types of the amount of work that we're able to put into this kind of stuff, because, we have things that we want to do, but there aren't necessarily things that we're going to be able to do, I guess.
Well, there are
talking in
priorities.
circles
We
right now.
can't do everything we possibly want. And if we did, it would be amazing.
Oh, that would be so good, though, if we just had, infinite money and infinite time to do whatever we wanted in this game. Wouldn't that be great? That would be great. I need to reset this chat software again.
Or not.
Okay. So, yeah. If you're just joining us, well, you're caught us at the end of our stream. But we've been demoing some mounts. We've been demoing some mounted combat. Horses can totally jump. They can also jump over certain obstacles, but they don't jump very high, I think, because I saw there was a question about it. And if there's anything you'd like to add, I guess now would be the time to add it.
Well, not really. There are a lot of kind of hidden mechanics that I really want players to discover.
Sure.
Because one interesting thing they wanted to implement is to make the archer really powerful against horses. Because historically, archers were really, really good to kill the riders.
Right.
So when you're trying to use the bow and you're trying to hit the horse in its legs, it's going to apply a special debuff to it, which I don't think you can see on your own horse. But if you shoot somebody else's horse, it will cripple a horse, but it will not slow it down. It will deal additional endurance damage.
Oh, okay. So so those kinds of effects they still work on your horses then.
Yeah. So when somebody is charging with the horse at you and you have a bow, start shooting at legs, and it will give you a bit more advantage when it comes to the close quarters combat.
Sure. That sounds like a good idea. Okay. Am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything. Yeah, we have a few minutes, so maybe we can try taking some questions from chat. People asking about orbs. I'm not sure about orbs, but we can try. Let's see.
You cannot use orbs.
I cannot use orbs.
Not right now.
Nope. Unavailable. Sorry. Release date, we're still planning for early December. We don't have a confirmed release date that we can give you right now, unfortunately. I know that's, the thing that everyone wants. But, our aim right now is early December. And if we're able to make that date, we'll see. But yeah, once we have a confirmed release date, we will, of course, let everyone know what that confirmed release date is. And then we will roll it out on all the available channels when that is. So follow us on social media, facebook.com/funcom, twitter.com/funcom, or facebook.com/Conan Exiles, or twitter.com/Conan Exiles, or on our forums. I think it's forums.funcom.com. There's a lot of URLs that I'm not really remembering. There's some cool hidden mechanics that I think people are gonna like. Can you place bombs while on a horse? I don't think so. I think you're mostly limited to, because now people are trying to figure out the things that they can,
You'll see. I'm really curious how you guys going to be using the horses in PvP at this point.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, and especially see all the YouTube videos of people going like, "Oh, you should use your horse for this. You should use your horse for that," etc., etc. Will the horses drown if they have no stamina? That's a good question. Right.
They don't have any breathing mechanics attached to them, so they'll be fine. But you will drown on a horse.
That you, the player, might drown on a horse. Right. Right. Let's see if there's anything else. Mounts and stuff is gonna the leveling system is gonna come out at the same time as mounts. The new Trebuchet mechanics are gonna come out at the same time as mounts. The new combat and dodge roll stuff that we talked about is gonna come out at the same time, also at the same time is going to be the thrall and pet cap that we've talked about previously, which will limit the amount of pets and thralls you can have placed out into the world. That also includes the horses.
Yes.
So let's say you have 25 pets, 25 thralls, and then you can only have like 5 horses, for example, which I think the maximum for a single player is 55 of pets and thralls. And then as more people come into your clan, then you can expand that stuff if you want to, or if you want to, that limit will not naturally expand. So keep that in mind when you're taming horses, taming thralls, taming pets, all that kind of stuff. But when we roll this out, there will be a grace period where you can remove like old pets and thralls if you want to, before we turn on the system to remove old stuff as we go. Unfortunately, there will not be a way to sort of repackage your old thralls. I think maybe you can like hit them over the head with the I'm not sure if that's possible anymore. If it's possible to hit them over the head with the truncheon. Okay, that's a no from the design team.
But you can break your bond with them.
Yes.
You can just set them free. You don't have to kill them.
But yeah, so certain thralls that are already placed out into the world will be worse off than any new ones. But if you already have pets and thralls in, say, an animal pen or in a wheel of pain or in any kind of container, and then you place them out after the system goes live, they will have attributes, they will be able to level up, they will have a growth rate, all that good stuff. And then
there's actually one question about there's a mod that allows you to repick thralls. Yes and no. It will allow you to repick your thrall, but the problem is once you convert your item to a thrall, you cannot do it backwards because the item does not contain any information about your thrall. So when you do that with the mod, you create a new thrall effectively. With the leveling system, with the attributes that your thrall has, it will basically just lose everything. So we can't really do that.
Yep. There's more details about the thrall and pet cap on our forums, forums.funcom.com, in the I think it's the official announcements for the Conan Exiles category, and also in the general discussion. There's an FAQ with a lot of stuff that we've answered previously, so I'm not going to go into all that again. And there's also a write-up of what all the what it all means that we're instituting this cap and all that kind of stuff. So if you just joined us, unfortunately you joined us all the way at the end, but you can watch this stream over on YouTube immediately after we close out the stream, because that's how the VOD system, the VOD system works over on YouTube, which is pretty great in my opinion. Yep. All right, I think that's it, unless you have anything else you would like to add.
Well, I guess there are lots of questions that I could answer, but we don't really have too much time with that.
Unfortunately not.
So I've been talking too much.
But I also know that our good friend Multigun is probably going to write a big ol' recap of this entire thing. So he's gonna put all the information that we've talked about on this stream in a recap that's going to be posted on our forums as well. And one final thing we're going to do before we go is we're going to raid someone who's streaming Conan Exiles right now. So I'm going to push this button, start this progress, give PBMac36 our very best, and then we will see you guys next week for another stream. Is it going to be Conan Exiles? Is it going to be something else? We shall see. Follow all our social channels for all that stuff. Until then, bye.
See ya.